Blue Devil head coach Bob Dillard. And Coach, last week a 6-3 win over Father Ryan. Not the most beautiful thing in the world, but we needed a win to start the season, and we went down to Nashville and got it.
Well, it's always good to get that first one under your belt, and we went down, and like you said, it wasn't very pretty. We made several mental mistakes, and we turned the football over 4 times, but we came away with a win, and that was what we went down there to do.
And with the victory, you can work on things in practice and keep the attitude, I assume, positive, correcting the mistakes, but you've still got that win to build on.
Right. You know, we're 1-0 after playing Ryan, and that's definitely where we wanted to be. But we're by no means the kind of football team that we want to be right now. We've still got many things that we have to correct, and we went to work on those Monday with the kind of attitude that you know, regardless of what the score was, we've still got things we've got to correct.
I think if we look back, Damon Pitt had an excellent first half throwing the football, 6 out of 9, but he wound up 8 of 20, and there were some drops the second half.
Damon's done a pretty good job throwing the football for us all year. I thought that, of course, he had the 2 interceptions and we had some drop passes, but he, you know, that we've still got to remember, even though he's played well in our scrimmages, Friday night was his first ball game as a quarterback. So he's going to keep getting better, and hopefully we'll all get better week by week.
Chris Stafford, a good night running the football. Had several times kind of gets clotted up at the line of scrimmage, but he kept fighting for yardage, turning north and south, and did a good job, wound up with 83 yards.
Chris did a good job running the football, and one thing that I was impressed with about Chris is this time last year, Chris had trouble holding on to the football. And through our scrimmages and Friday night against Ryan, I don't think Stafford's laid the football on the ground, so I've been impressed with that as much as anything.
We had several people banged up. I know Zachary's out with a shoulder. Leyhu's got the knee problem. We've got some other folks. Let's see, Clemens has got an ankle problem. Right. What are the status of those folks?
Well, all 3 of those young men are not going to be with us this week against Coffee County. Hopefully we'll get Kyle and Leyhu back in a couple of weeks, and we'd like to have Brad back by the middle of the season for sure at the latest. So hopefully when we start with weeks 6, 7, and 8 in the last part of our season, we'll have all 3 of those young men back with us.
And finding replacements for those guys, I guess, has been a priority in practice.
Yeah, it has. Of course, we feel like, we've got guys that the only thing they need to play is just the opportunity. And with some guys going down, we feel good about who we're going to put in there for those guys, and they're going to get an opportunity to play, and we'll get to see what they can do.
All right. Mike Bartlett, defensive coordinator for the Blue Devils, also with us here on the Bob Dillard Show. And, Mike, a great job by the defense. We held Ryan to 3 points, and if the other team doesn't score a touchdown, we've got a shot at winning most football games.
Tommy, we came out and we played very well, and we played very hard. And I think that's a direct – it have 2 groups of people responsible for that. Number one, our players came out all week willing to prepare, and our position coaches do just a great job of preparing their individual players, and I get to go out and call, I have the luxury to go out and call whatever I want, knowing that they're going to be where they're supposed to.
Looking back at the stats, we had 8 people were right together on tackles. I think we had 7 guys with 8 tackles and 1 player with 7. A lot of white hats around the football.
That goes back to our philosophy. We line up basically in one defense, try to read our keys, try to get as many people to football, and I think those statistics bear that out for us.
Even though you give up the 3 points, and that's all you give up in the game, there are some things that you went into this week of practice knowing that you wanted to try to get better at.
Yes, we didn't. We had some trouble tackling people at the point of attack. The initial lick, we had trouble there. We had some mental mistakes down in distance situations that I guess we'd talked through, but we hadn't done a very good job putting them in those situations, running those particular plays against them, and we did that this week, and hopefully we'll correct that against Coffee County.
You got a lot of people into the game at all the spots on defense. I guess Ron C's pretty much one of the few guys who went the whole way at one position. You played a lot of folks on that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, we got winded. We put ourselves in some situations where we had our backs against the wall. We felt like we had to have fresh people, and those people that were at that time in a backup role came out and did a great job for us.
I can think of one situation where you had Bain, who's an offensive lineman primarily, in there who came up with a fumble, and you had believe Cripps, who's an offensive tackle, got in there for Alls when Alls got sick and made a tackle or two. So just about anybody, I guess, who took snaps on defense got to work on defense.
Yes, Cale came in, and we, after the injury to Clemens, Cale was the only one we had that had taken any defensive work at all. Chris Cantrell was worn out at the end. Kenneth Nelson was, and we stuck Bain in, and he comes up with the football. That's what we expect of those guys, and they came through for us.
Good job and a first night out there with the Blue Devils. Just keep up that good work.
Thank you, Tommy.
Mike Bartlett, defensive coordinator, with us. And finishing up the program, Bob, we've got Coffee County coming in, a wing tee football team and a 5-3 team, a team much like us last year, went through a coaching change right before practice started, lost their first home game. We improved a lot during that space of time last year. I wonder how they're going to. I wonder how they're going to fare.
Well, we, Coffee County's got what we feel like is a good football team. They played Shelville right down to the wire, and Shelville had 2 big kickoff returns and scored on a 70-some-odd yard pass play against Coffee County. So if you take those big plays out, Coffee County wins that football game. So we're expecting a good football team to come in here Friday night, and we've got to improve because we know that Coffee County's improved from one week to the next. So we've got to if we want to be in the football game.
Personnel-wise, they've got a sophomore fullback, a kid named Elam, big, strong kid. They like to get him the football.
Right. He's a big, old, strong young, and he looks like he weighs about 220 pounds, and he had 106 or 8 yards rushing against Shelville, basically on the fullback trap and a little off-tackle play that they run. So he's the load to bring down. We've got to shut him down if we want to stop their offense.
The 5-3 defense, how will our offense attack that?
Well, it's an 8-man front, and we're going to try to do some things to get some of those people off the line of scrimmage. We're going to go. We're going to run some twins and try to get some extra receivers out on them, and hopefully they'll bring one of those guys out of the middle and open up some running alleys for us in there. But we'd still like to be about 50% run and pass. We'd like to throw it about half the time and run it half the time. We've got to establish the run a little more effectively than we did against Father Ryan. I didn't feel like we generate any consistency with our running attack against Father Ryan. It was just kind of hit or miss, and we've got to do a better job running the football.
Well, folks, stay tuned for what should be a tremendous football game. Lebanon and Coffee County in the home opener. Stay tuned for kickoff after this timeout.
The Bob Dillard pregame show has been brought to you by Chum's Convenience Stores with 4 locations to serve you better. By Lebanon Heating and Air Conditioning. By Greg Brothers Car Wash, now with 2 locations in Lebanon. And by TRW Commercial Steering Division. Lennis Video, in association with Lebanon Cablevision, proudly presents Lebanon Blue Devil Football. Your play-by-play host, Clyde Harville. With color commentary by Tommy Bryan. With the game stats, Harry Stafford. And the sideline reporter for the game, John Ryan.
Hello, I'm Allie Lanning at the Notes Laster Field with Lebanon High School's first home game against Coffee County's Red Raiders. We'll be back in just a moment for this exciting game.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following Blue Devil supporters. Fakes and Hooker, First Bank and Trust, First Insurance Group, First United Methodist Church, J.R. Hobbs Realty, K.O. Lester Cash and Carry, Lebanon Cablevision, Permapipe Division, Midwestco, Piggly Wiggly, Rochelle, McCullough and All, Square One Express and Hallmark Drive-Thru, TRW, Commercial Steering Division, and Women's Health Center. Please let our supporters know that you enjoy the telecast.
Thank you, Tommy. The referee crew tonight, the officials this evening. The referee is Blake Parks, the umpire Al Strothers, head linesman Steve Jackson. The back judge is Jeff Jennings. The line judge is Fred McCullum, and Bill Wynn is the electronic clock operator. Now here is referee Blake Parks for the toss of the coin.
For you by the color on your shirt. You have a penalty. We're going to ask for a blue captain or a white captain. Somebody step up and hear what we got to say. Here's the catch. Once you give me an answer, I'm living with it. So if you don't understand your options, let's repeat them as many times as we need to. Is that understood? Okay, Coffee County, you're the visiting team. Who's going to call the toss? This is heads. This is tails. We're going to flip this coin. You're going to call it in the air, and if we drop it, we're going to do it again, all right?
Tails.
Excuse me?
Tails.
He called tails. It's heads. You win the toss. We want to defer. We want to defer.
The Blue Devils have won the toss, and they have elected to defer. Coffee County is now deciding on which go they're going to defend.
Go. But you need to understand, they deferred their choice. So if you give it up, you're going to give it up for both halves.
I will defend the scoreboard.
You're sure? You're double sure. You want to defend that scoreboard?
We want the ball.
Thank you. That's the right choice. Okay.
Coffee County wants the ball, and the Blue Devils will defend the south goal. So, Tommy, back up to you.
Thank you, John. And Coffee County's captain's a little confused down there. They almost gave up the football and the wind as well, but Lebanon will have a strong wind at their backs as they kick this football off to start the football game. Lebanon will be dressed out in the blue home jerseys, and here come the Blue Devils. Lebanon with a good crowd on hand tonight. School does not officially start until Tuesday of next week. We're already will have played 2 games before school will have been in session. Lebanon dressed out in the blue home jerseys, white helmets, white football pants, white trim on that blue. Coffee County across the way, a small gathering. They've got their band and perhaps 150 people. Black pants, white jerseys, red headgear. The numerals will be black and trimmed in red. LeBron Ferguson, as we said earlier, head coach of Coffee County. His assistants, Jeff Breeden, Bert Brown, Doug Green, Brad Tackett, Keith Stevenson, and Chuck Wolf. Bob Dillard, the head man for the Blue Devils. His assistant coaches, Jamie Angel, Mike Bartlett, Scott Clemens, Larry Grissom, and Randall Hutto. Lebanon will kick it off. J.L. Presley will put the foot into it. Right-footed, soccer-style kicker. Has a good, strong wind at his back. He will operate out of the north end zone. They will defend the schoolhouse, kick toward the scoreboard. Going deep for Coffee County is Thomas White. He's a senior, starts in the backfield. And here with a play-by-play call of this Region 4 5A football game, FM 99 Sports Director Clyde Harville.
Okay, thanks a lot, Tommy. Good evening, everybody. We're set to play ball here at Lebanon High School. The Blue Devils taking on Coffee County. As Tommy told you, White is